Hey, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Quack&Co, the channel where everything is under 10 minutes all the time, every time, and this is a tale of two Grail games. Both published from Fantasy Flight, both out of print, both fetching outrageously high prices on the secondhand market, both of them featuring the Warhammer license, which is one of the reasons why they're out of print, because Fantasy Flight lost the Warhammer license and can no longer make Warhammer games from Games Workshop. And this is a tale of two Grail games, one entering my collection, one leaving my collection. Chaos in the Old World has been in my collection for a long time now. It's been in my collection for years and years and years, and it's such a ridiculously good experience, and it's going away now. That's what's happening to it. We'll talk about why in a second. And Forbidden Stars is a reprint, I think a retheme is the word to go with, of StarCraft, also from Fantasy Flight, that they lost the license to that a while ago, and so they reprinted it as Forbidden Stars, and that's an incredibly solid game that I just had the opportunity to play, and well, despite the fact this has been in my collection for like a year now, it's now being solidified as being in my collection because I finally actually played it, and wow, is it good. And I don't know if this will stay forever. I don't know if it'll be like Chaos in the Old World, a game that I discover and think it's incredible and think it's amazing, and then over the years, as time goes by, maybe one day I'll pull this out and be like, you know what? It's just not a game I need to keep. I think I'm more likely to keep it, but I'm not certain. You see, let's talk about Chaos in the Old World. Chaos in the Old World, designed by Eric Lang, sharing a lot of similarities to Blood Rage, which Eric Lang has designed as well, but I prefer Blood Rage, significantly so, and that, and many other area control games that I love, is the death of Chaos in the Old World. You see, I think Chaos in the Old World is fantastic. Now, I do not think it's as fantastic as many others do. When you tell people Chaos in the Old World and Blood Rage, you'll have many people who are like, well, obviously Chaos in the Old World. I'm just not one of those people. I love Blood Rage, and I admire and respect Chaos in the Old World. But Chaos in the Old World, I think, has a lot of asymmetry that is almost forced asymmetry. It forces the players into their roles. You choose these different gods that you're playing as. Each one has something that they're better at. Each has ways of winning. And so you have this theoretical choice of, oh, you can win the game in different ways, but really you have to play to your god's strengths in order to win the game, which means you can't actually win the game in different ways. Now, the game is incredibly solid at what it does, but because of the forced asymmetry and because of the lack of variable factions, the lack of content for there, and the Horned Rat expansion, which I do have, by the way, is essential to me because of that. I think without the Horned Rat expansion, this would have gone a long time ago. But even with the Horned Rat expansion, to me, Chaos in the Old World is a game that when I sit down to play it, I know that I will have fun, but I also know that I'm going to be playing to my god's role. I'm going to be playing an assigned job to me. This is one of the problems I've always had with Root, which we won't heavily get into, although I do have and love Root. Although a big part of why I have and love Root is the fact that I have, like, all the extra expansion content for the game. So I have a lot more factions to take away from the assigned roles, or rather to give you the illusion that you don't have quite as much of an assigned role. But when I play Chaos in the Old World, as good of a game as it is, I feel like I'm signing up for a homework assignment. One that I'll enjoy, but I have to do things a certain way. I have to play to certain strengths in order to actually have a chance at winning. And then it means a lot of the game feels a little bit scripted. Of course I'm going to go here because I have to. Of course I'm going to play that card there because I have to. Of course you're going to try to block me there because you have to stop Khorne, the Blood God, from killing people. So a lot of it feels a little bit scripted to me. Is it a good game? It is, but when I'm forced to pick between choosing a game like Siglades, a game like Kemet, a game like Rurik, a game like Blood Rage, a game like Innish, when I'm choosing the area control delight that will sit at my table today, it's not going to be Chaos in the Old World anymore. I find that whenever I do pull this out, I have an excellent time, and I feel like I would have had a better time playing a different area control game that I own. And so it's time to move on from Chaos in the Old World. It's time for this to leave my collection. It's been there for quite some time. We got whitened boxed edges. We have well used. I mean, the cards are actually all sleeved. Everything, all the components are in great condition. The box, though, the box shows the wear of the years and years and years it has been in my collection. But all good things must come to an end, and it's time for Chaos in the Old World to leave my collection. And coincidentally, genuinely coincidentally, this was not planned, but the same week that I played Chaos in the Old World for the last time, I played Forbidden Stars for the first time. And Forbidden Stars has a lot of strengths that make me think this one will stick around for a very long time. You see, Forbidden Stars, well, you do have factions and specific cards. I like asymmetry, I like powers and abilities, but Forbidden Stars is a ridiculously good, objective-driven game with combat that is so much fun, combat that is so unique. The way the combat plays out as you roll some dice, as you play your units, as you augment your units with cards that will rely on unit abilities, the way you can develop and build out your factions, the way you can choose what you upgrade and what pathway, the way you can build out units and choose the units you're going to need, and the way the special powers, the way the game sequencing takes place is you have these tokens that will be your plans for the game. So you're basically playing these orders. But then you can play orders on top of my orders, blocking me from doing things. Then I can play orders over here, and the sequencing of how those orders resolve, and they're all going down face down, so you don't know exactly what will happen. You just know that other players are placing down their orders, but you might be able to resolve your order first, which could be a good thing or a bad thing. And then the combination of the hidden order planning, which I think is phenomenally well done, combined with the combat, which is very unique in the 3-round combat it has. Now, I do have critiques. To begin with, the combat can be a bit slow, meaning when you're playing it at more than a 2-player game, and the 2-player game is fantastic, by the way, but when you're playing it at 3, 4 players, whatever it is, you will have other people watching your combat resolve, and I mean, it'd be nice if they had a little book or something, because your combats can drag out in the game. That is the downside of having a 3-round combat sequence. It adds a lot of strategy, but it basically devolves into a little mini-game on the side for 2 players while the other players watch and wait. Now, it could be cool. You could have fun moments, you could have whatever, but it's also a lot of maintenance. So there's not like that I don't have critiques against Forbidden Stars. But I am sad there's no expansion for it. We never got to see the promised or expected expansion when Fantasy Flight reprinted it. I'm sad about that. But the base game of Forbidden Stars gives you so much gameplay options that I think this one will be here for a while. I don't know for sure. It might fall into the category of a game that's hard to table. But the gameplay is so rewarding, and it's such a good 2-player head-to-head area control game, and those are so hard to find. And it's not the typical area control game. Like I said already, it's objective-driven, but inherently a part of the game will rely on you taking control of areas to be able to generate more resources, to have more choices as far as how you spread and what you do. So area control is a sub-thing to go for while you ultimately try to accomplish your objectives. But Forbidden Stars is delightful. The box looks pristine. It's a new addition to my collection. This one, Chaos in the Old World, has been here a long time, and it's time for it to move on. It's time for it to grace somebody else's collection. It's time for somebody else to appreciate and see the mastery of an Eric Lang design. But for myself, I'm replacing it with Forbidden Stars. One game is ending its story with me, and another game is starting its own. Both from Fantasy Flight, both Grail games, both ridiculously hard to get your hands on. One story ends, and another story begins. Until next time, I am Alex Radcliffe from Quack&Co, and I hope you have a good one.